My name is Roel Jongeneel from Wageningen Social and Economic Research, and I was involved in the Dutch case study. What I would like to do is to tell you something of the background and the research questions, or what information needs, then the approach we used, and some key results and lessons we learned. That's the structure of the presentation. Now, contextual information is a case study applied to the Netherlands, and it has a focus, although not solely, but a strong focus on the role of the eco scheme, the Dutch eco scheme, and changes therein. So, and we were supporting with several tools the ministry in a better understanding of several aspects of the Dutch eco scheme. And the tools we used were a kind of what we call an eco scheme simulator, which was more or less developed by the Dutch paying agency to provide guidance to farmers. We also then included several other tools. I will demonstrate them in a minute. But maybe as a starting point, it's good to have at least to make some remarks about the Dutch eco scheme, which is a bit different from the eco scheme as it has been applied in many other member states. And what is typical for the Dutch scheme is that it actually is a kind of farmers can choose from a menu of activities. And with each of activity, eco activity, they generate points on 5 criteria. So you have here 5 objectives: climate, soil and air, water, landscape and biodiversity. In the rows in the table, you see the different measures like resting crops, nitrogen fixation crops, permanent grassland, etc. A lot of different activities, and these activities contribute points on these 5 objectives, and they also contribute to a certain value. There are minimum criteria in the system, so farmers have to make sure that when they select a set of activities that they satisfy some thresholds, some minimum requirement thresholds, and which then brings them that they have to usually to select a set of activities which say should be at least 5 or more activities. And as said, these activities to generate a payment. So as you see from this perspective, the Dutch system is very interesting, because we had just in the opening what Anna was saying about the increased role of result-based schemes. Now the Dutch system has a kind of a result-based scheme. So in that sense, what's happening here is interesting, I think, also for the next round of the CAP. But you can also see that this raises a lot of questions if you are a policymaker. And the aim of our case study was actually to explore the effects of different options in designing or changing. As you know, member states have the allowance to change the eco scheme over the first years from the experience, but that the government would like to have some more information on that, which was regarding the uptake, but also when you would change some criteria, what it would mean. So we focused on alternative specification of performance criteria, with these objectives, but also remuneration criteria. The Dutch system is that farmers can, with their activities, say being remunerated according to so-called medals, a bronze and a silver and a gold medal, which varies from say 60 euro per hectare in the case of bronze, and when you are gold, you could earn 200 euro per hectare. Now, from this scheme, there were a lot of type of questions about the remuneration, about the criteria, but also in better understanding of the farmer choices and their adoption behavior. Initially, it was expected, also due to the complexity and the signals from the farmer unions, that the system would be complex and that maybe the adoption would be below, say, the aspiration of the government. Finally, it turned out just the other way around. About 80% or more of the farmers participated in the scheme. And then the budget was not sufficient to, say, pay the farmers for all their efforts. So that was another thing. So the government would like to learn more about it. And this also shows that say, if it is about voluntary measures, it's not only that you would like to achieve certain objectives, maybe which is from a EU perspective or European Commission perspective, these kind of things about adoption behavior, having sufficient budget, can that you are able to pay farmers to the promises you made by them when the system started. That are also, say, political issues which at the national level for a national minister are very important. So what we did actually, we started to analyze it. As you see in the top, a bit demonstrated in the top left corner of this slide. We started with studying the eco-scheme simulator from the paying agency. Then we added to that a farm model. So we linked the eco-scheme system to the farm model, and the main aim was to better integrate the farm activities, the eco-scheme activities with respect to the farm activities. How would they fit into farming practices? And finally, we also added a third tool, which was a kind of sectoral model, which was able to add, say, market prices and market developments in the scheme. So we made an assessment about, according to the market outlook for, say, the coming 10 years, what would, given the prices change, how would that change the adoption behavior of farmers? So to summarize again, we had the three tools: the eco-scheme simulator, which was more or less giving farmers information about the payment if they make certain choices. The farm din analysis, a farm economic model developed initially in Bonn, and also we have a specific variant for the Netherlands, which allows us to integrate the farm activities and which actually show that certain activities have an intrinsic interest of farmers, but certain activities are also, say, creating troubles for farmers, so that they helped us to give a better understanding. And then the ACMEMOD analysis was used for market, study the market impact on the whole process. Aside of this, we also used two other tools. One is the so-called IOI matrix that was already referred to. That's the impact objective, the interest objective and instrument matrix. And what you can do is that to say that you can link policy instruments to certain say policy objectives. Now, our main focus was the eco scheme, but in the Dutch policy setting, in sustainability, improvements in sustainability, in particular with respect to certain environmental variables such as nitrate emissions and the link to biodiversity. The government was also considering to do a number of say regulatory measures, and they would like to have know about the impacts of that on income, which are often negative if you are constraining farmers, and they would also like to get more insight in which policy measures could, say, mitigate the negative income impacts, and that was done with the IOI approach. Finally, we also looked to policy monitoring, because during the course information came available about that certain activities also from the eco scheme could be more, say, subject that farmers make errors or didn't deliver, and it could be non-compliant, but could also be for other reasons. And we looked to the impact of that and how you could, say, from a policy monitoring view and adapting the system to its better functioning. Now, what were key results? I think the analysis gave a better understanding of a relative complex eco scheme, of performance-based type eco scheme as the Dutch have. It also provided insights into potential impacts of various design aspects, including the options, like I already said, the threshold criteria, etc. Due to the whole farm analysis, it led to a better insight into what actually affects the adoption. As some activities creates kind of synergy with other farm activities, but some eco activities created competition with farm activities, and that made farmers behaving in a different way with respect to taking up these impacts. And the ministry got also signals about how market impacts and market price increases, changes would affect the adoption behavior. And what I can say, these insights contributed also to changes in the Dutch scheme. The government is considering now to make changes in the scheme, which I think to which the assessments we made provided an input. With respect to the IOI, we provided the government with more information about the existing policy instruments, how they could be used to mitigate farm income's effects on sustainability measures, and also say which gaps there were and future possibilities they could explore. Now, then about challenges and later on lessons. Challenges, we had a number of technical challenges in linking the models. For example, with respect to the eco scheme, you have different types of farms, you have different types of locations and conditions, regions. And we had to account for this heterogeneity in the analysis. A challenge could be a weak engagement with policymakers, that there is that's also what was already mentioned also by Ilona. You are lucky, or it's helpful when there is a policy interest. In our case, we were lucky because there was a great interest from the policy side and the policy questions to which we could contribute. However, then also communication is a challenge. Because on the one hand, you are using technical models, which do a lot of things, but you need also to be able to communicate the results and to make it plausible and to give your policy clients the understanding in a more, say, colloquial way, rather than going into all the things. So this is an important thing. So lessons learned. What you need for this such an integrated case study is you need to mobilize expertise that can come from different sources, but you need to organize this. It's very important to have a regular interaction with the ministry to really not your tools can do things, but you should not reason from what your tools can do, but from what's the research and the policy question, and what are the things policymakers are struggling with. When you can help them with your tool with that, then you are really adding value to the decision-making process. The selection and preparation of scenarios. If you see, okay, there they have the problems. They have probably their own ideas about scenarios, but also as researchers, sometimes you can, from your insights you have in your tool, you can contribute to, say, also to the scenario building or suggest some other scenarios. The validation of outcomes with stakeholders. So that is also a question that when you have certain results of models, are they also recognized and find plausible by the stakeholders and the communication of final results. Lessons learned. Now, the importance of having, say, modeling expertise, which you can mobilize. I think early and continuous engagement with policymakers. So we have been involved in the establishment of the eco scheme, also with interaction with policymakers. So this was a kind of a follow-up in a continuing discussion, I would say. The maintenance of maintaining an active dialogue with the CAP end users. So that means that is an important thing. So we try to be active in a policy debate, which then also opens up possibilities often for providing information. Communication is important. As I already said, also that you try to see, okay, what are the problems? What make policymakers awake? What would they like to learn? And what we also see is that there is a tendency also in the policymaking to increase complexity and adding exemptions or details, and that requires also that you, on the one hand, have your tools adjusting to that, accommodating that, and sometimes you need more than one tool. And we also in this case study we have 3 tools connected, and we also from a methodological point of view added some more work in one publication which will come from will be published soon. Okay, with this I would like to close. Thank you, Becca.